Welcome to another episode of In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams. The WNBA is stepping into its 30th season, and instead of just looking back, the league is telling a bigger story about where it's been, where it is right now, and what is going to happen next. Today, I'm joined by WNBA's Creative Director, Candice Drakeford. Welcome to In Case You Missed It. Welcome to the show, Candice.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, I want to just learn a little bit more about you and your role in the W. So, how does one become the creative director of a league like the WNBA?
I want to say a lot of luck, but a good amount of luck and a good amount of skill, and then knowing the right people. So I would say a combination of those three things. So been doing advertising for a little bit. I think I'm pushing up on 10 years now. So I've done the in-house side, done the agency side, and now I'm at a sports league.
What does your role look like day to day as the creative director of the WNBA?
For me, every day looks different, right? Like I get to wear a lot of hats here, which is something I love because the ADHDs sometimes. So keeping it interesting, keeping it on my toes is something that I seek out in a role in general, especially so I can stay engaged. So I can be doing anything from leading the graphics that are going up across our channels. I could be working on our all-star look and feel. I can be developing out a full season campaign with multiple TV spots and activations and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I'm curious, where did your love for the game begin? Because I'm pretty sure that if you have a job like the creative director of the WNBA, you have to have a passion for sports in some capacity.
Absolutely. Played basketball all my life. My sister and I both played. Probably started in the AAU circuit around 8-ish, and then played pretty competitively up through high school. My sister played in college. We went to a lot of Mystics games. I'm from the DMV area. So we went to a lot of Mystics games, big Shimiko Host Golf fan. So it's been a big part of my life for a long time.
Isn't it so crazy how, like, when you play sports growing up, you end up in these types of leadership roles? That's
It's
truly
it's really
amazing.
it's really funny because like a few of the women that I played with in high school, they ended up playing in the league, one of whom is now, the GM for the Toronto Tempo. So Monica Wright, I played with her for 3
Uh,
years in high school. So it's like it's insane, and then Jasmine Thomas, of, Connecticut fame. She is now, I believe, head of player development in Dallas, I wanna say?
yeah.
I believe so, yeah, I think she's still there, yeah. So, like, these are people that I played, with growing up through AAU and into high school, so, like, it's crazy how it all comes back full circle, like, the people that you see coming back around.
No, certainly this hoop basketball can take you so many places. When you think about the storytelling aspect within your role in this league, what feels different or special compared to other leagues when you have a role like a creative director?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the way I think I always talk about the league is like nobody can tell the stories that we tell, right? The league can speak to so many different things. Like we can go from high level hoops, right? And then we can go to social causes and initiatives. And then we can get into fashion, pop culture, even music now. Like we can go into anything we feel like it. And that's just the nature of the women that play the game. That's just the nature of our fans. So like we can talk about anything that we feel pretty much. And so that gives me just like a really fertile space to play in creatively. So I can pull all these different levers to tell all these different stories.
There are so many different intersections when it comes to women's sports, right? Particularly women's basketball. So when you're thinking about 30 seasons of the W, what felt most important to capture in how the league shows up and tells this story of the 30th season?
I think the most important thing for me was probably responsibility. Like there's a weight of responsibility, not to just like do my job, but like tell the story right, tell it well, and represent the last 30 very well, specifically the people that came before me, and not just them as an afterthought, but like as an integral part to the story, right? And then celebrate where we are right now as a league, because like that is a celebration in its own right. And then obviously make people really excited about what's coming. So like it's a lot that goes into talking about 30 seasons and what's important, but I think responsibility probably captures all of that just to tell every portion of that story.
This season, the tagline, "There's more where 30 came from." How
Mhm.
did that line come together, and how did you know that that was like the one captures the story?
Funny enough, that wasn't the line initially. There was a different line on the table that we had, and we sat with it for a couple weeks. And, as we started, punching holes in it and just, like, really sitting with it, because it's a line for season 30, like, it's gotta be the line, right? And the more we sat with it, it was just like, "Is that the line, right? Is that what we're going with? Are we sure?" And like I said, the more we kept punching at it, it was like, "Let's take another run at it." So we did, and we came on to "There's more where 30 came from." And I really love that line. Like, I love it a lot more than the first line. So, like, that's a testament to it's not always that first one that gets you, gets you across the finish line. I love it a lot more than what we initially landed on. And I think the way we knew it was the one was when we started talking about it, like, actually, like, vocalizing it. The sentiments behind it that we kept coming back to are also the same sentiments that we were talking about when we were talking about briefing the season 30 campaign as a whole anyway. Like, it works really, really hard from a history standpoint, and then also being very future facing, right? So, like, that meshing of those 2 is something that we've spoken a lot about, like, across this project. And then obviously, like, the tonality of it. I think we can flex the tonality of "There's More Where 30 Came From." I can make it really, irreverent when I want it to be. I can make it a little bit softer, maybe a little bit more serious, and then it can get really braggadocious depending on the tone, right? Like, depending on what lever we wanna pull, it gives us a lot of options throughout the season to just kinda, like, play with it, which is something that you want from a creative line. And then it just, like, it feels like it's marking, like, a milestone, right? Like, or it's not, maybe it's not just marking a milestone. We're doing trying to get my words, like, it's marking a milestone, but it's not like an endpoint, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
it's something that, like, when I say it, it gives, like, that immediate, like, sense of momentum. And, like, when you say there's more where anything came from, right? Like, there's a sense of there's something beyond that. And so by us saying that, we're acknowledging that there's something beyond that. We don't know what it is, but we're confident enough to say there's more over there, and we know you're gonna like it. And so that's something that, like, a tonality that we really like to take on for the season itself. I think that's kind of where we were like, "Yeah, we got something here."
Listen, I am such a nerd for the creative process. And so I'm curious of when a campaign is greenlit, right?
Mhm.
What's your starting point as a creative director? Where do you start?
Uh, I start with the why. Why are we doing this in the first place? Um, I work alongside amazing strategist by the name of Erin Hughes. So she and I, sat down, and she sat down probably before I even, or I will say before I even started thinking about it, and started, like, really thinking about the why we would do season 30. Why not wait till 50, right? But there was something about 30 that we kind of kept talking about, and she threw out a quote that's appeared in many decks since then, that was something along the lines of, like, 30 is when, like, your ambition catches up with your soul. So
Hmm.
there was something, and it's been in every deck that we have presented strategically and creatively. So that's been, like, our North Star for everything that we've made for this campaign, and that's what really drove the creative brief. And so I think when you look at 30, again, back to why 30 and not wait till 50. When you look at 30, especially, I'm gonna personify the league a little bit, especially as a woman, right? Like, 30 is that's a thing. That's a thing for us. It is. It just is. And so, like, when I look at 30 and then I look at league, it's a person or a league that's still full of, like, a lot of ambition, but I got a little bit more wisdom, probably a little bit more money. I'm a little bit more aware of myself. I'm confident in my identity. I know who I am and how I'm showing up in the world. And that's really how we see the league, right? Like, that's 30 for the league as well. And so the more we talked about it and kept, like, this is why it needs to be 30, this is why it needs to be right now, and letting that kind of be our North Star. I think, when you take that up the chain and, like, trying to get those things greenlit, when you have those conversations to back that up and get people on board, it becomes a little bit easier. So that's how, like, a little bit of the process of, like, getting something like that greenlit for us.
I know as a creative, when we create, sometimes you kind of nurture it, right? But when you're
Mhm.
working for a league like the W, you have to make sure that creative vision aligns with the league's brand identity and with their messaging and goals. So, how are you able to balance the two when thinking about, this campaign?
It's definitely a balance. If I'm being honest, it's been a little bit of an easier balance than I've had at other places and other accounts. And I think it's because we have such a clear view of ourselves, right? And we know who we're talking to. Phil, our CMO, shared something with us, and now I'm just like recalling quotes now. He shared something with us a couple weeks ago. I guess he had went to a conference or something, and he said he heard something. Somebody was like, "Make work for the fan," and like subconsciously, I think we were already doing that, but like nobody was like, yes, we say it like everything's for the fan, but like when you're like actually intentionally making work for the fan and sit back and start evaluating work from a fan's perspective, like you begin to remove yourself from the business aspect of like, this is my job, right? And then I start putting on that lens of like, is this something that's going to resonate with a fan? Is this something that they want to see? And if the answer is yes, it becomes very easy to protect the creative because everything that we're doing in this building is in service essentially for the fans of our league. So when I'm able to push back on creative and things like that, it's like, well, is that something that's going to resonate with our fan? And if that discussion happens and it's not, then we probably shouldn't be doing it. And if it is, or we have like a maybe we can do it better, then yeah, the discussion goes further. But I think knowing that and knowing who we're making work for creatively when it comes to like these campaigns and stuff, it's for a fan. That makes it that much easier to protect the creative because like the fan kind of, or not kind of, it aligns with who we are as a brand and just our goals as a brand overall. So then like it just all kind of starts to be like, oh, yes, that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, I think that's probably the best answer.
No, I totally get it. As a creative, I totally get it. So for this season, the 30th season and celebration of 30 seasons of the W, there are three campaigns launching. Can you tell me a little bit about each campaign that's launching and what makes each one unique that you all
Yeah,
are
yeah.
launching?
So we're launching 3 films, that are gonna come out throughout at important touch points of the season. So obviously, the start of the season, tip off, we're welcoming everybody back to the league. And then one of our bigger moments, obviously around All-Star. And then our big celebration moment, of finals. So like we'll have those 3 and there's a through line, there's a thread to kind of connect them a little bit between both talent and just overall messaging, especially in terms of like I was talking about earlier, connecting the people are players of the past and then some of the ones that are either here today or coming in.
I want to talk about Raising Goats because this is one of the films that features Sheryl Swoopes and W
Yeah.
fans. I don't have to explain who Sheryl Swoopes is. If you know, you know. One of the goats of the W. What was the first version of that concept in your head, and why Sheryl Swoopes?
Yeah, I mean, first version of that, I'm trying to remember. I think it really just started again with us trying to figure out how to make that thread between legacy and now and the future, right? And so, like, in terms of legacy, we have our goats. We know who our goats are. Like, we can argue about them. We can get real passionate about it, but like at the end of the day, you can be like, nah, that's not. They're not even in contention. We know who those people are, realistically. And so we have to figure out how do we thread that needle between those people that we know and then the ones that we're like, you might be on your way, or I see something, right? Like those really baby goats, right? So I think like when you look at that thread of the women that are here, who were here, and then the ones that are coming in, and you see how many of especially the goats that have already, exited the game, how they're still really, really close to the game, like Sheryl Swoopes, right? They've made relationships with players today. And so, like, whether the league is, actually acknowledging that, we're doing that now, right? But whether we're acknowledging that, that's happening. There's so much investment between those two people and like bringing up that next generation. We found a really nice nugget to play with there. Like that's kind of how that starts to come to fruition. And then like when we start to talk about, okay, well, who do we bring in? You think about Cheryl Swoops. I mean, it was kind of it's got to be her, right? It's got to be her. You are like that's first ever signed to the league, first dynasty. Like are you kidding me? Like, it's gotta be her. And the really, really funny part about that is usually, as a creative and, like, in advertising, you'll write a spot, right? Like, spots are written for specific people. 99% of the time, you do not get that person that you wrote the spot for. 99% of the time. This spot, the original GOAT spot, was written for Sheryl Swoopes. And so for us to get Sheryl was just like cinema, right? Like that rarely ever happens. And so for us to get her and like really be able to say like we got like pretty much the OG goat, like that's insane. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm curious, what was the energy like on set? And did you use actual goats in the filming process?
I got real familiar with goats. Um, yeah, we on set we had a lot of fun. Cheryl was amazing. Obviously, when you have talent like that come in, everybody's kind of like they want to be on their P's and Q's, right? Myself included. Like in my head, I'm like, all right, I have to be the GOAT of this production now because Cheryl Swoops is here. Like I can't let Cheryl down. It's kind of the vibe on set. And like she was amazing. She was amazing. Probably one of my favorite talent to ever work alongside in a shooting capacity. Like she takes direction really well. She's very excited to do all the things. And like she communicated a lot of just like her excitement around just the campaign as a whole. And then as we're, going over the script and like really dialing in or telling her like what the intention behind everything is, it just got so much more emotional on set of just like understanding the gravity of what we were doing. So yeah, we got a little emotional. 30, I don't know. But like there was a really great energy on set. Lots of goats, lots of goat poop. Yeah, I mean we had a great time on set.
I think it helps that Cheryl actually lives on a farm in
She
Houston, so
does.
maybe she's used to like,
You know what?
farm
We
animals.
found that I learned that while we were there, and she was like, "I don't have goats." She has cows, from what she told
Mm.
me. But like, she was down for the goat. She was down to clown. So, and on that, I'll give you a little scoop. I guess we're doing something with her for draft, a little activation. So watch out for that.
People tuning in. All right, just to close this out, when you step back and you look at this whole project, what part of it feels most meaningful to you?
I think for me, like selfishly, it's going back to Cheryl, like really taking in one, what we're doing for season 30, and then two, that we acknowledge just her as a person and obviously as a player, but just like understanding that there were so many women that obviously came before us, before my time, obviously, that contributed to this game that we know and love today. And to be able to recognize that and pull them in and make them a part of this campaign, a part of this celebration of a 30th season, it meant a lot. And I think it goes back to again that responsibility that I talked about. So hearing her get really excited about it and like really telling us like on set, like giving us the gravity of just taking it in for 30, that's probably what means the most to me.
If someone is watching these campaigns for the first time or even watching the WNBA for the first time, what do you hope sticks with them?
That the league is for everyone. When we just this camp just this campaign, but anything else that we do, right? We want to make sure we're not alienating any fan bases or any potential fans, right? And so we want to make sure all the fans and everyone that's been here, for the last 30, they feel brought along, right? Like the new era isn't kicking you to the curb, isn't ushering you out. No, you coming along. You've been here. You got to come along, right? We want you to be on this ride with us still, because there were people here, but like I've been saying, like people here before us, and then the people, who it's their third day out here. We want y'all to jump in the car too, right? Like there's something that everybody can latch onto in this league and take for themselves, and that's something that I hope comes across in this campaign and just any work that I do in general for the league during my time here.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to the 30th season of the WNBA and all of the campaigns this season. Candice Drakeford, thank you so much for joining us this week on In Case You Missed It with me, Khristina Williams. That's going to do it for this week's episode.
Thank you so much.
Not all kids become goats. Because goats aren't just born, they're raised. We teach them to stay hungry. Right through the chest. Get loud. Build others up, even if it means knocking them down. Took her breath away. To stay confident and stay humble. Sometimes. Because that all-time part of greatest of all time, it includes the future.